In this video, I'm gonna show you the best Xbox Series X settings for Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Warzone to become faster and reduce input lag by up to 16 milliseconds for both wireless controller and Elite Series 2. What is input lag? When you press a button, it takes some time until it works in the game. That's called input delay or input lag. We try to make it as low as possible. This delay is apart from your network or ping. So even if you have a low ping, you may have a high controller delay which affects your aim. Starting with the console settings. Based on many tests we made, we realized having controller vibration and in-game vibration on helps with lower delay. It's not the first time though. We have a similar behavior on both PS5 and PS5 Pro. If you don't like to use vibration at all, turning it off in the game results in lower delay than the controller. Based on our test, if you keep controller vibration on but turn it off in the game, the delay is around 37 milliseconds. But if you turn the controller vibration off and keep the game on, the delay increases to about 45 milliseconds. However, if you keep both controller vibration and in-game vibration on, even a value like 5%, it will reduce the delay to 32 milliseconds. So this is the best choice among all. Next, HDR versus SDR. Based on 20 tests we made in shooting range, HDR 12-bit versus SDR 12-bit output, using HDR increased the delay by about 5 milliseconds. Even though HDR looks good in COD, if you like to have a lower delay, SDR is the way to go. But what about color bit depth? We've tested 8-bit versus 10 versus 12-bit. Based on our test, the lowest delay belongs to 8-bit. Using 10-bit increases the delay by 5 milliseconds. And if you use 12-bit, the delay increases by 1 millisecond. Overall, using 8-bit has 6 milliseconds less delay than 12-bit. But the difference between 10 and 12-bit in COD is only 1 millisecond. After that, we've tested color space RGB versus standard mode. As you know, RGB looks more contrasty and standard may look a little washed out in Xbox Series X. Interestingly, we noticed that using PC RGB mode reduces delay and we've got 12 milliseconds higher delay by using standard mode in our controller test. PC RGB is clearly faster in controller response for COD in Xbox Series X. We also tested high contrast mode for PC RGB and we noticed in dark theme the delay is 12 milliseconds higher and in light theme it's 10 milliseconds higher. Using default contrast mode has the lowest delay overall. Next, we've tested the game in 120Hz mode with VRR set to off instead of always on. And in our specific test in shooting range, turning VRR off caused 11 millisecond higher delay. I'd highly suggest having VRR on to get the fastest response. You may wonder about 60 FPS mode delay while 120Hz is enabled. Maybe you like higher graphics than frame rate. Based on 10 tests we made, the 60 FPS mode has around 65 milliseconds controller delay, which is not huge, but compared to 120 FPS mode where we can reach around 32 milliseconds, it's almost double the delay. Next, we've tested Fidelity Effects CAS, which makes your game a bit sharper, and the results are interesting. Having it set to off gave us the highest delay, around 41 milliseconds. Setting it to 50 gave us almost 37 milliseconds delay, and 100 also similarly around 37.5 milliseconds. Considering my method that has a 1 millisecond jitter, we can say 50 and 100 both have the same delay. But there is a magical number that gave us the lowest delay, and that's 63. I like this value due to its sharpness, and I tested this one separately and noticed we've got a delay of around 32 milliseconds in this mode and making it the best choice for lowest delay. Next, we've tested USB connection versus wireless. Even though Xbox controllers are limited to 125 Hz in both modes, the response in-game isn't only related to polling rate. And with a new test we made, the delay with USB cable was around 6 milliseconds higher than wireless. It doesn't mean it's the same in all games, only COD behaves this way currently with this version. However, if you have devices around you like AirPods or other Bluetooth and Wi-Fi devices that may interfere with your controller connection, USB might be a better choice. We've also tried changing button layout in game versus controller for Elite Series 2. We tested switching LB RB with LT RT, and the delay was 3 milliseconds higher when changing it in the game compared to changing it inside the controller settings. So I suggest making changes in controller instead of game. For post-processing effects, we've had all other options off. But if you'd like me to test these for the next video, Let me know in the comments. We also kept on-demand texture streaming set to minimal to reduce network activity and having better response. We also kept gore effects off, but for that we need to make a full test inside the game to see if it has any effect on FPS similar to PS5. If you also like to test 4K versus 1440p and 1080p delay, let me know in the comments and hype this video, so we'll do that soon. So to wrap up, the best mode that gives you the lowest delay is SDR 8-bit color depth, fidelity effect set to 63, 120Hz mode enabled, in-game controller vibration on and set to 5 or higher, color space set to PC RGB, VRR always on, controller vibration on as well. But there is one more thing about dead zone settings and controller stick resolution that we recently discussed in my other channel, which applies to both Xbox and PS5 controllers, and I suggest checking it from the card above or the end screen. But if you like dedicated dead zone tests for Xbox, just let me know. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.